Ladies and gentlemen, let's be real. One of the biggest things holding you back is the fear of what other people think. You hesitate before speaking up in a meeting. You second guess posting that picture. You hold back on making a change in your life because what will people say? And guess what? That fear is keeping you stuck. It's time to break free. Because the truth is, people's opinions, they are none of your business. They are based on their own experiences, their own baggage, and their own insecurities. Not on you. You are not here to live someone else's version of your life. You are here to live your life. But as long as you're chasing approval, you're putting your happiness in their hands. You're letting people who don't walk in your shoes dictate how far you can go. And let me tell you something, that's not living. That's performing. You know what's funny? Most of the time, people aren't even thinking about you. They're too busy worrying about themselves. They're stressing over their own insecurities, their own problems, and get this, their own fear of what you might think of them. It's a cycle of fear, and you need to get out of it. So what do? You take back your power. You decide right now that you're done living for approval. You stop filtering yourself, shrinking yourself, and holding yourself back. You do the things that light you up, regardless of what anyone else thinks. And guess what happens when you do that? You start to attract the right people. The ones who get you. The ones who support you. The ones who see you as you truly are, not as who they expect you to be. Oh, stop waiting for permission. Stop seeking validation. Stop letting fear decide your future. The moment you stop caring what people think, that's the moment you finally start living. What others think about you is none of your business. Their opinions are shaped by their own experiences, beliefs, and insecurities. The way they perceive you has more to do with them than it does with you, but here's the problem. Too many of us let these opinions dictate how we live. We mold ourselves to fit their expectations, we silence ourselves to avoid judgment, and we hold back from chasing our dreams because someone somewhere might have something negative to say about it. That ends today. Because the moment you realize that someone's opinion does not define you, you gain freedom. Think about it. Every single person you know has a different version of you in their head. To one person, you're inspiring. To another, you're too much. To one, you're kind and generous. To another, you're distant or selfish. None of these perceptions are the full truth. They are just reflections of that person's beliefs and experiences. So why would you let any single one of those dictate your life? You could be the most likable, talented, hardworking person in the world, and guess what? Someone will still criticize you. Someone will still find a reason to dislike you. And you know what that means? You will never win by trying to please everybody. It's impossible. So instead of wasting energy worrying about what people think, redirect that energy toward being the person you want to be. Now I get it. We all want to be liked. It's human nature, but ask yourself, would you rather be liked or be free? Would you rather fit in with everyone else's expectations or be true to yourself? Because every time you choose their approval over your own authenticity, you're giving away a piece of your power. Let's take a moment to be brutally honest. How many times have you stopped yourself from doing something because you were afraid of what someone might say? Maybe you didn't start that business because you worried people would think you were crazy. Maybe you didn't wear that outfit you loved because you feared judgment. Maybe you didn't speak up in a meeting because you were afraid of sounding stupid. The common denominator in all of those situations, you gave too much weight to opinions that don't even matter. And let's go one step further. Even if someone does judge you, what then? What's the worst that could happen? Will their opinion physically stop you from succeeding? Will their judgment pay your bills? Will their negative thoughts about you impact your health, your happiness, or your ability to live your life? No. The only way their opinion has power over you is if you give it power. And let me ask you this, how often do you sit around obsessing over someone else's choices? Probably not much, right? Because you're too busy living your life. Well, guess what? So is everyone else. People are not thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. The harsh truth? Most people are too caught up in their own lives to spend much time judging yours. And if they are sitting around gossiping about you, that's a reflection of them, not you. People who are truly happy and successful do not waste their time tearing others down. So if someone is judging you, it says more about their mindset than it does about your actions. Once you accept this, you become unstoppable. You stop overthinking. You stop holding yourself back. You start making choices based on what you want instead of what others expect. And that is where true confidence is born, not from approval, but from the courage to be yourself. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you catch yourself worrying about what someone else might think, pause, take a deep breath. Ask yourself, does their opinion change who I am? Does it affect my ability to pursue what makes me happy? Does it really matter in the grand scheme of my life? And if the answer is no, let it go. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who has to live with your choices. You are the one who has to wake up every morning and look in the mirror. So make sure the person looking back at you is someone who lives freely, boldly, and unapologetically without worrying about what anyone else has to say about it. The fear of judgment is like an invisible cage. It keeps you small, silent, and stuck in patterns that don't serve you. You hesitate before speaking up. You hold back your opinions. You downplay your accomplishments. You suppress your dreams, all because of the nagging thought, what will people think? But let's be honest, the more you seek approval, the more you lose yourself. And the worst part, the approval you're chasing may never even come. Think about all the times you've bent over backward to please others. You said yes when you wanted to say no. You followed the crowd when you wanted to stand out. You played it safe when you wanted to take a risk. And in the end, did it make you feel fulfilled? Did it bring you real happiness? Or did it leave you exhausted, frustrated, and disconnected from who you really are? Let's talk about why we crave approval in the first place. It's not your fault. As humans, we are wired to seek belonging. From childhood, we learn that fitting in keeps us safe. We get rewarded for good behavior, punished for stepping out of line. Over time, we internalize this message: be agreeable. I don't rock the boat. Make sure people like you. But here's the truth they don't teach you in school, that this mindset will cost you everything. It will cost you your voice, your authenticity, your joy, your dreams, and ultimately your freedom. Now, let's flip the script. What happens when you stop chasing approval? What happens when you start living for you instead of for them? I'll tell you what happens. You unlock a level of confidence and peace that most people will never experience. Picture this. You walk into a room, and instead of scanning the faces, wondering if they like you, you own the space. You stop overanalyzing every conversation, every social media post, every decision. You let go of the pressure to impress, and suddenly you can breathe. You can focus on what actually matters: your passions, your purpose, your happiness. Because here's the secret: when you stop seeking approval, you gain respect. Not everyone will like you, but the right people will. The ones who respect your boundaries, the ones who admire your authenticity, the ones who love you for who you truly are, not for the version of you that's constantly adjusting to fit their expectations. And let's get one thing straight: choosing yourself does not mean you stop caring about people. It does not mean you become rude, selfish, or dismissive. It simply means you stop making their opinions the deciding factor in your life. So how do you break free from the fear of judgment? You take action. Confidence doesn't come from waiting until you feel ready. It comes from doing the thing that scares you. It comes from speaking up even when your voice shakes. It comes from taking risks even when people doubt you. Every time you show up as yourself, you weaken the power that fear has over you. Here's a challenge for you. The next time you catch yourself hesitating because you're afraid of what someone might think, do it anyway. Post that video, wear that outfit, apply for that job, set that boundary, let yourself be seen. And when the fear creeps in, remind yourself, no matter what you do, someone will have an opinion. So why not make sure that your opinion of yourself is the one that matters most? Because at the end of the day, the people who judge you, they don't live your life. You do. They don't wake up in your body with your dreams, your potential, your experiences. You do. And you owe it to yourself to live fully, unapologetically, and without waiting for anyone's permission. You are not for everyone. And that is your greatest power. Too often we twist ourselves into smaller, more digestible versions to make other people comfortable. We dim our light so we don't outshine anyone. We hold back our opinions to avoid conflict. We shrink, we edit, we dilute who we are, all in the hope that we'll be accepted, that we'll be liked. But let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly felt free to say what you think, to express who you are, to live without filtering yourself through the lens of someone else's expectations? The truth is, not everyone is going to like you, no matter how much you try to fit in. And that's okay. The most powerful thing you can do is accept this and let go of the need to be universally liked. Because the more you embrace who you really are, the more you attract the people who are meant for you, the ones who respect you, love you, and celebrate you just as you are. Imagine walking into a room and not wondering what people think of you. Imagine posting on social media without overanalyzing every word. Imagine making decisions based on your needs, your values, your dreams, instead of constantly factoring in what other people might say. That kind of freedom is available to you the moment you decide that other people's opinions are none of your business. Think about it. How often do you sit around dissecting someone else's choices? Probably not that often. And even when you do, it's fleeting. You scroll past their post, you make a passing comment, and then you move on. The same thing happens with the people you think are judging you. Most of the time, they're too wrapped up in their own lives to give you more than a passing thought. And if they are spending their time analyzing your every move, that says more about them than it does about you. Here's a reality check. The people who criticize you, they're often the ones who are afraid to do what you're doing. The ones who tell you to be realistic about your dreams, they gave up on theirs. The ones who mock you for taking a risk, they're terrified of failing themselves. Their judgment is just a reflection of their fears, not your potential. So why let their limitations define what's possible for you? There will always be people who don't understand you, who don't approve, who don't get why you do what you do. But that doesn't mean you should change. It means you should keep going. The most successful, inspiring, world-changing people, they didn't get there by playing it safe and seeking approval. They got there by being bold, by staying true to themselves, by refusing to let the opinions of others steer their course. The more you own who you are, the more magnetic you become. You stop attracting people who only tolerate you and start attracting people who truly see you. Your energy shifts, your confidence grows, and suddenly life becomes a whole lot easier because you're no longer carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. Silence is one of the most powerful tools you have. In a world that pressures you to react, to explain, to prove yourself, choosing silence is an act of strength. It's not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's control. Because when you learn to sit with your thoughts instead of immediately responding, you take back your power. Think about the times when someone said something that irritated you. Maybe it was a passive-aggressive comment. Maybe it was outright disrespect. Maybe it was criticism that stung. Your first instinct? Defend yourself. Argue. Explain. But what if instead you just let it sit? What if you didn't react right away? What if you let the weight of their words fall on them instead of carrying it yourself? Silence makes people uncomfortable. And that's exactly why it's so powerful. When you don't rush to respond, people start to question themselves. They start to wonder if they said the right thing. They start to second-guess their own words. And in that space of uncertainty, you remain unshaken. But silence isn't just about how you handle conflict. It's about how you handle everything. The more silent you become, the more you hear. You notice the way people treat you when you're not performing for their approval. You catch the subtle shifts in energy, the unsaid words, the truth beneath the noise. You become more observant, more intentional, more in control. Silence is a filter. It reveals who respects you and who only values you when you're giving them attention. When you stop constantly explaining yourself, you realize how many people only listen because they wanted something from you. But real respect, it doesn't require constant justification. It doesn't require you to defend your decisions, your feelings, or your boundaries. And let's talk about boundaries, because silence is a boundary in itself. When you stop engaging in arguments that drain you, when you stop reacting to negativity, when you stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds about you, that is a form of self-respect. You don't have to fight to be understood. You don't have to waste your energy convincing someone of your worth. You know who you are. And that's enough. Silence is also your greatest tool for growth. In a world full of distractions, taking time to be silent with yourself is where the real breakthroughs happen. When was the last time you just sat with your own thoughts without reaching for your phone, without filling the space with noise? Most people are afraid of silence because it forces them to face themselves. But that's exactly why you need it. Silence gives you clarity. It allows you to process emotions before reacting impulsively. It helps you recognize patterns in your life, patterns of how people treat you, patterns of what triggers you, patterns of where your energy is going. And once you see those patterns clearly, you can change them. So the next time you feel the urge to respond, to defend, to explain, pause. Let the silence do the work for you. Not everyone deserves your words. Not every situation deserves your energy. The less you react, the more powerful you become. And when you do choose to speak, your words will carry more weight because they won't be lost in the noise. Confidence is not something you are born with, it's something you build. And the way you build it is by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you set a goal and follow through, no matter how small, you are proving to yourself that you are capable, reliable, and strong. That's how confidence is created, not by waiting for external validation, not by hoping people will approve of you, but by showing up for yourself every single day. Think about it. If someone in your life constantly broke their promises, would you trust them? Of course not. But that's exactly what most people do to themselves. They say they'll wake up early, and they don't. They promise themselves they'll go to the gym, and they skip it. They say they'll start working on that big dream, and then they procrastinate. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you are sending a message to your brain, I don't follow through. I can't be trusted, and that kills your confidence. But here's the good news: just as breaking promises to yourself destroys confidence, keeping them builds it. And it doesn't have to be a massive change overnight. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one day. You just need to start proving to yourself in small ways that you are someone who does what they say they're going to do. Start with something simple. Tell yourself you're going to make your bed in the morning and do it. Tell yourself you're going to drink a glass of water when you wake up and follow through. Tell yourself you're going to take a 10-minute walk and actually go. These small actions might seem insignificant, but they add up. Every time you do what you said you would do, you are casting a vote for the kind of person you want to become. You are rewriting your story, one promise at a time. And let's talk about the power of momentum. When you start keeping small promises, something amazing happens. You start trusting yourself. You start believing in your ability to follow through. And that belief spreads into other areas of your life. Suddenly, you're not just keeping small promises, you're tackling bigger ones. You're showing up for yourself in ways you never thought possible. And that's when everything changes. But here's where most people go wrong. They wait until they feel confident before they take action. They think, once I believe in myself, then I'll start, but that's completely backward. You don't wait to feel confident, you act your way into confidence. Confidence is a byproduct of taking action. The more you show up, the more you prove to yourself that you're capable. And the more capable you feel, the more confident you become. So stop waiting. Stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. It's not coming. Confidence isn't something that magically appears. It's something you build brick by brick, choice by choice, action by action. And let's be real, there will be days when you don't feel like following through. There will be moments when you want to quit. That's normal. But this is where the real confidence building happens. Because confidence isn't just about keeping promises when it's easy. It's about keeping them when it's hard. It's about pushing through even when you don't feel like it. It's about proving to yourself again and again that you are stronger than your excuses. So start today. Pick one small promise and keep it. Then pick another. And another. Watch what happens when you consistently show up for yourself. Watch how your confidence grows. Watch how your life changes. Because once you start trusting yourself, once you start believing in your ability to follow through, there is nothing you can't do.